Okay, welcome to mediation. I'm glad you're both able to get here easily, and I want to thank you for coming. Mediation is not always the easiest solution to make, but it is a great way for you guys to be able to kind of have a more of a say in your solution. I want to again thank you for coming. I like to start the mediation process by having introductions. It's a great way to kind of ease into the mediation process. I'll start with myself. My name is Mulrain. I am a mediator at Mediation Services, and I'm here to be your guys' volunteer mediator today. I would like to ask you your names just to kind of clarify who's who and what you prefer to be called by. So can I have your name? What would you prefer to be called by? Okay, thank you. Can I have your name? What would you prefer to be called by? Okay, so I'll make a note what you guys prefer to be called by, and I want to again thank you for coming, and I appreciate you being here. I want to make sure that you both are here as a sign of good faith. It's important to make sure that both sides are willing to really commit to the mediation process. So are you committed here to being a mediation and working towards a solution? Are you here and committed towards being here and working towards a solution? Okay, that is great. So I want to reestablish our time frame. When we made this appointment, we said we could be here for 2 hours, and I want to make sure that's still good. If you have any prior commitments or you cannot be here for the full 2 hours, please let me know. Okay, since we have the 2 hours here, if we happen that we can't determine a solution in that time period, then feel free to let me know, and at the end of the mediation, we can make another appointment. Okay. So I want to begin by discussing the process of mediation. Have you ever been to mediation before? Okay, so you both are new to the process of mediation. I will describe the process. If at any point you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. It's important to make sure that you have a full understanding of the mediation process. So the goal of mediation is to come to a mutually agreeable solution. You guys will have a large amount of control over your solution and what you determine, because you guys will know best. I may not necessarily know what'll work for you guys, but you will definitely know what solutions will be more reasonable than others. So I'm here as a facilitator. I'm not a judge, I'm not a jury, I'm not your lawyer. I'm really here as a neutral third party. My purpose is to help facilitate calm, respectful conversation between both parties. I will not give out any advice, nor will I be able to testify against you if this happens to go to court. And I just want to make sure you understand that. So the process of mediation is fairly straightforward. It will begin by an uninterrupted discussion. You each will get the same amount of time to discuss your side of the story. And so while one of you is talking, the other person will not be able to talk. You will be able to address what the other person has said during your uninterrupted time. Once the uninterrupted time is done, then we'll begin to discuss issues. Make sure that we acknowledge which issues are the important ones, as well as any other issues that were not brought up or addressed during your uninterrupted discussion. Once the issues have been fully laid out, then we will start coming up with solutions. What I mean by that is you guys will be coming up with solutions. You'll be able to brainstorm, judgment-free, any solutions you think to address one issue, several issues, any issue, and we'll just kind of list them out. When you have to come up with a good list of solutions, we'll sit and evaluate the solutions to make sure which ones are going to be better than others. And if we're able to come up with an agreement that will work for both of you, it'll be written out in a written consent form, which is a binding contract and filed with the court, so it will be binding. Do you have any questions? I know sometimes it's important, so I want to make sure you don't have any questions. Okay. This process is entirely confidential, and I want to assure you that anything that's said in here today, I will not say to anybody else. I cannot testify for you, and anything that's written down will be shredded. So this process is entirely confidential. Only the three of us have to know what your solution is. Now, I briefly mentioned writing stuff down. You will both able to take notes. I want to each give you a piece of paper there. Okay. You will be able to take notes during this process. During the uninterrupted time, it's sometimes good to jot down little notes if somebody says something so that you can make sure that you address it. I will also be taking notes, and at the end of the process, whether we come to an agreement or not, my notes will be shredded as well as yours will be shredded. Again, so it ensures the air of confidentiality. If at any time in the mediation a private discussion is necessary, I will meet with both of you. This is called a caucus. And what it is it's a private meeting time between one party and the mediator, and if one person is a caucus, the other will as well. So both sides will be able to have the same amount of time to discuss privately with me, and anything that either of you say during that cannot be said to the other party unless you give me explicit verbal consent to do so. So it's a very private discussion that can sometimes help the process of mediation. Now, before we go into the mediation, there is a consent form that I want to read off. Now, again, if you have any questions or you're concerned about what the consent form says, let me know. Otherwise, I will read it, and then I will have both of you sign and date it. Okay. Number 1. I understand that all files and notes of Mountain Mediation Services and its mediators are confidential. There are exceptions to this rule. A mediator can be compelled to testify about the mediation in cases involving juvenile abuse, neglect, or dependency, abuse, neglect, or exploitation of a disabled adult, disciplinary proceedings before the North Carolina State Bar, felony trials, and criminal acts, violence, or threats of violence made during the mediation that endanger a person or property. 2. If the party reaches an agreement, Mountain Mediation Services will forward the dismissal form to the district attorney once any applicable fees are paid. 3. I agree that I will not hold Mountain Mediation responsible for any agreements made or failure to reach an agreement during mediation. 4. I understand that mediators are neutral parties and cannot give legal advice or assist in a case. I further understand that mediators at Mountain Mediation Services will give no opinion regarding the legal effect of this consent to mediation or any agreement that is reached as a result of mediation. If I have any legal questions, I may request a continuance of the mediation in order to consult with an attorney of my choice. 5. I understand that Mountain Mediation Services and mediators and staff have judicial immunity from any civil action except in the case of willful or wanton neglect. Lastly, number 6, I understand that weapons and physical conflict are not permitted here. I also understand and agree that Mountain Mediation Services retains the right to report any crimes committed on the premises. Okay, would you be able to sign that? Thank you. Now would you be able to sign that? Thank you. Okay, lastly, I would like to go over some ground rules for the mediation process. I think it's important to make sure that we're all have an understanding of some little ground rules to kind of guide it. They're not particularly formal or particularly difficult. It's just, the first one is one person talks at a time. I find that it tends to be if everybody's talking at the same time, nobody really understands each other, and it becomes counterproductive to the whole process, to any process, when everybody kind of talks at the same time. So it's important for one person to talk at a time. Don't interrupt the other person. I will do my best effort not to interrupt. I will do not to interrupt, and so I would appreciate it if you both wouldn't interrupt each other as well. The second one is initially talk to me. During the uninterrupted time, it becomes more beneficial if you talk directly to me. So talk directly to me. You will have the chance to talk to the other party during the subsequent stages of the mediation process. No weapons either. I know you guys are screened for major weapons, but if you have any weapons, don't be ashamed. Just, if you wouldn't mind turning them over to me, I will give them back to you at the end of the mediation process. This again ensures the comfort and feeling of safety among the other parties. So it's important to make sure. So do you have any weapons? Do you have any weapons? Okay, that's great. Another one is turning off your cell phone. Now, I know that your cell phone is your lifeline, and if you happen to want to contact somebody to come into the mediation session, you can feel free to, we can take a break and do so, but during the process, in order to ensure everybody can pay attention, it's important to turn off your cell phone. As a sign of good faith, I have shut my cell phone off, and as well, I will put it in the center, so I'm not tempted to touch mine. So if you want to put yours into the center, that's not required, but it's a good way to kind of make sure you're not tempted to turn it on or touch it while somebody else is talking. Okay. Lastly, be polite and respectful. It's important that during this process, I know that there are feelings involved, but to not let those negative emotions kind of come out by name calling or judgment or anything that will hinder the process of mediation. I want to thank you for listening to me talk. Now it'll be your turn to talk. You guys can kind of take it over. I want to make sure you don't have any questions. Now, if you feel the need to take a break now, let me know. Okay. If at any point during the mediation you want to take a break, let me know. We have water, coffee, juice, as well as some snacks in the sitting area. You guys can feel free to go outside and sit in the sitting area for a designated time, and then we can come back. As long as we don't have any questions, I think you brought the case to the mediation, so I would like for you to go first, if that's okay with you. Okay, then you can start.